Right, today I'm gonna review a very special bike rack for you guys. It's the Yakima Stage 2 and it has a couple tricks up its sleeve. You're not gonna believe it. We're gonna give you the pros, cons, take this on some speed bumps, go on the freeway, and let you know whether it's worth your hard-earned dollar. Okay, Francis from E-MTB Review. We review e-bikes and all the components that surround it. And this is a very special one because it can carry e-bikes. And it can not only carry e-bikes, but two 70-pound e-bikes. And if you put on the attachment, it can carry 4 e-bikes. So we've never seen a tray rack be able to claim this, so we put it to the test. We have 4 e-bikes right here worth $49,000 and we gave it a beat down. The Stage 2 bike rack is an $850 two-bike rack. It is one of the beefiest racks I've ever seen. The gauge of the steel is incredible. The plastics, very durable, and this arm right here, which causes a lot of the wobble, is very beefy. So $850, 70-pound limit on each bike, and if you want an addition, the 2-bike add-on is $550. So the grand total, $1,400. A lot of money, but it is a solution if you have, 4 heavy bikes in the family. So not just e-bikes, but any kind of commuter, fat bike, downhill bike. Anytime you're over 40, 50 pounds, you're getting into that heavy duty rack category. And this, at the end of the day, that's what this is, a heavy duty rack. And mind you, if you don't have e-bikes, that's fine. All you're getting, imagine if this can carry 4 e-bikes, it can carry your 4 enduro heavy bikes. Because, especially when you get into the rough road, freeway dividers, a little bit of off-roading and whatnot, this can be the ticket. Pros and cons. The pros, heavy gauge steel for sure. It's the beefiest rack I've ever seen. The weight is 66 pounds for the rack and another 46 pounds for the addition. So well over 100 pounds on how it's set up now. And it is beefy, it is sturdy. The receiver is very good. The arm is sturdy and it's wide enough to carry all the enduro bikes today, the long wheelbase bikes of today. And most important, it's enough to carry the heavy bike. And where the 70 pounds is cool is the dynamic weight. Even though something is rated for 50 pounds, 60 pounds, when you hit a speed bump or all of a sudden there's a pothole or a divider on the freeway, you're putting hundreds of pounds on this thing. So you want that extra headroom if you're gonna really use this bike for heavy duty. Another pro, of course, is the addition of the rack. So now you have 4 bike and then you have a very handy handle here. So the handle, you move it from the 2 bike to the 4 bike, so it's always here. You never have to reach over. The grip is amazing from here and from here. It is stiff, but at least it's got a good grip. The plastics are very high quality. The bolts, all the hardware is the theft protection type. It's not a normal Allen. It has a little pin in the middle, so you can't get it out. And then one really cool thing is, just a subtle difference, is these straps. When you open them, they're out of the way. I can't tell you, for years they'd be hanging here. You're trying to put in the bike rack, but the strap's in the way, and you kind of have to finagle it out with the tire of the rack that you're carrying. And on an e-bike, that's not going to happen. Another handy thing is we have a lock hidden here, and it shares the same key. By the way, how you connect the rack into the car is kind of novel. So you just slide it in and then you have a pin. The pin is really just a safety, and people misunderstand this pin. They think it's what holds the rack to the car. What really holds it is a clamping system, an expanding clamping system that's also an anti-wobble system. When it's clamped on, you decrease the wobble and you can't remove the rack. So people misunderstand that a little bit, and this is it with it, and you can tighten it. But the clamping mechanism has a lock. So when you take the lock away, there's no way to loosen the clamp. So that's how it's secured. Thinking of the e-bike ecosystem, they sell a very integrated ramp right here. So the ramp is, if you have a 55-pound e-bike, you're a small person, very difficult it's the end of the day, very difficult to put that bike on, and the ramp can help, especially if it's a 1-bike situation. So, and you can make one of these your own, but you really don't want to. It can be disassembled or you put it on. And here's the key for a ramp is when it's on, you know. You insert it this way and now it's kind of locked in place. No way it's going to move. If you just have a temporary ramp, it's going to slide off when you least want it to. So this is key. It's okay. I mean, it's nice and long and wide. It's got guides on the side so you can't really roll off. A little bit flexy, but that's okay. Rubber on the end. So one of the nicer options that I've seen for ramps. I believe $100 for this one. A couple other cool things is the latch mechanism. There's only really just one lock position, meaning when you're sliding it down, it is a heavy thing. There's no midway position. That's cool. It slides into place here, and then if you want to lower it to perhaps access your hatch and whatnot, that's another position. So pretty handy. All right, let's get to the con side. The first con is when I was putting the one of the rails on, the hole where we tighten the bolt was not aligned perfectly. So, you know, it's very easy to cross-thread your bolts. And when you do that, that's trouble. In fact, I almost cross-threaded it when I was attaching the add-on. You know, 3 bolts came in good, but the last one, it wouldn't go on. And I kind of forced it. All the bolts in a system like this should be perfectly aligned, so you can just hand tighten, hand start a screw. And this one, a couple bolts, I had difficulty. Another con is a little bit of backward movement here. You really have to put the big arm, nice rubber arm, right close to the fork. And a lot of people, they don't want that because they think they're going to scratch their fork. Luckily, the arm has a generous rubber coating on it. But a common mistake, and a mistake you'll see in our video, is I put the arm here. I kind of like this because you know, you think you're pressing against the rest at a 90-degree angle, but it's not the right way because it did slip out as we were doing high-speed diagonal speed bumps on the 4th bike. So you really have to be right at the fork to prevent the backward movement. Okay, another con, but not so bad, is I wish this strap was longer. And the reason is you need a place to pull it so you can tighten it all the way. You know, if you're just pushing it, you can't tighten it. So I know some brands, it's longer and they have a hole here, so you can even yank on that hole. So, and then maybe a con, so just something to think about, it's a behemoth of a rack, especially when you have 4 bikes. There's no 3-bike option. It's either 2 or 4, and when you get 4, I don't think the wife acceptance factor is very low because it's you know, so bikers might think it's cool. The spouse factor, most civilians will think it's ugly. That it's an antenna that you can talk to aliens with. So that could be a con, right? So you have to think about that before you get this 4-bike rack. Bottom line, it's an expensive rack, but it offers a solution where none really exists. You know, you could do an upright rack, but it's difficult to get your e-bike lifted to that position. So think about that as well. So $1,400, okay. Not perfect. You know, the bolts should be aligned, should be perfect, but it is well built. It's a Yakima, you know, great warranty. So it is a good option out there if you have a pretty darn heavy bike. All right, thanks a ton. All right, let's do some real world testing here. So 4 bikes, and we're gonna go through some speed bumps right there. Pretty fast speed, and these bumps are very sharp. They're short and high, and I'm taking them at speed with 4 bikes, 2 50-pound bikes near the car and 2 40-pound bikes on the outer edge right there. So I'm giving it a good hit, not afraid, all in the name of testing, and it's doing pretty well. So now I'm gonna do a diagonal hit. This is, I think, is the hardest part for a rack because you could see all the twisting motion that happens right there. A left hit, so each wheel hits differently, and you could see that rack twist with almost 200 pounds of weight. Look at that. So that gives you a testimonial to the sturdiness of this rack. With 2 bikes only, 2 even e-bikes, this thing is very solid. So one thing to keep in mind is even though the rack is capable of a heavy weight, make sure your hitch and your vehicle are capable as well, meaning the tongue capacity of the hitch has to be, of over 400 pounds. All right, test. Now let's go out on the road, hit a freeway. Right there, a driveway is usually pretty hard on a rack, especially when it's fully loaded. Does well right there. Going up to speed. The other hard part on a rack is hard cornering. I put some side load on the rack. So what we have here is a GoPro stabilized on the car, so you're not getting a lot of bumps, but it does not stabilize the movement of the bike. So it's a very good indication of how much movement happens to the bike. So there was a fast right hand turn. It does well. And when you're fully loaded like this for the first time, make sure you understand your rack. Hit potholes slowly, speed bumps. Right here, we enter the freeway, and now you can see, boom, look at that big hit. So the freeways are actually pretty scary places for racks because you have freeway dividers, you have big maneuvers, and if something happens, your bike will tumble at 60 miles an hour and possibly harm another car. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that test. We'll have more racks, and we're going to put them through the similar paces as this one so you can compare easily. So don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a ton.